everybody, this is Jackie Boland from ESLspeaking.org. So today I have my top 5 tips for teaching conversational English classes, or ESL, EFL, TEFL classes, etc. Alright, so my first tip is to make it as student-centered as possible. So this is something that I always thought my classes were student-centered, but I took the CELTA course and my tutor actually challenged me. And he just said, you know what, it is student-centered, but you could make it a lot more of that. So the way I think about it is that I try to get my students talking and participating, writing, reading, listening, doing things as much as possible. They need more practice with English, not me. So anytime I'm at the front of the class talking, I think, can I minimize this? Can I get students doing the hard work and not me? So just keep that in the back of your mind. It's hard to give you a certain set rule or anything for it, but yeah, just have that in your mind. Students should be doing the hard work and not you. So if you design your lessons well, then that's entirely possible. All right, the next one for conversational English is to teach students to ask follow-up questions. It's kind of a weakness of many students. It's easy to get in the habit of the teacher asks a question, how are you? I'm good. How's the weather? It's sunny. What are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm playing soccer. And students never really ask questions back, and they also aren't great at asking follow-up questions. Oh, who do you play soccer with? Or if the answer is I'm going to catch a movie, then what movie are you watching? Just simple things like that. So in all my conversational activities, students are required to ask at least one or two follow-up questions to their partner. Probably by the end of the semester, my students actually just know this already. I almost don't have to tell them, because every single activity, without fail, they are required to ask at least one follow-up question to the person speaking. So just make that a habit in your class, and you'll find that by the end of the semester, after a few months, students are just pros at it. They already know, and you don't have to remind them every single time. All right, the next one, error correction. So error correction is a little bit tricky in a conversational English class. It's a bit demoralizing, especially for beginners, if you correct every single error that students make. And I mean, I get it, I've been there in my language studies, and so just a general kind of rule that I have, or actually I have two general rules. The first one is that I correct all errors related to the target language. So if we're studying or if I'm teaching about the simple past, I'll correct all errors related to the simple past. Another rule that I have is that I'll correct errors related to something we'd already just covered in that class, say in the past week or two. If I'm teaching about maybe like the future tense, but the previous week we'd covered the simple past and a student made a simple past error, I'd probably just quickly remind them about that. And then I guess the final kind of category of errors that I correct are ones with more intermediate and advanced students that are at a very basic level. So for example, if an advanced level student is making errors with the simple past, I'll probably just give them a quick reminder, and that's all it takes. And they're like, oh, what am I doing? Like usually they know exactly what you're talking about and have been reminded of that error before. All right, so the next tip for teaching conversational English is to set the context. So by setting the context, I mean you can teach the simple past, the present continuous, whatever you're teaching, but students need a reason to use that language or a situation in which they can use the language. So by setting the context, there are various ways to do it. You can tell a story, get students to talk about a little topic related to what you're teaching, do a little warm-up game or activity, make a prediction about maybe like a headline they see in the text. They can watch a little bit of a video and then you stop the video and students can predict what's going to happen. There's a ton of ways, so just make sure that students always know a few different situations in which they can use the language that they're learning. This makes it far more memorable, and it will, just make it a more interesting lesson for sure. All right, the final tip that I have is review and repetition is key. I'm not sure of the exact number, but studies have shown that when you learn a language, things don't really stick until you see them a certain number of times. This is true for vocabulary, for grammar, whatever it is. So I always do my best to help students with this process. Of course, it can happen outside of class, but realistically, a lot of students aren't going to make it happen for themselves outside class, so I try to make it happen inside class. So at the end of each session, I'll do a little review of what we learned that day. I'll often do review at the beginning of the next session. I'll generally have monthly review sessions, and then, of course, before a midterm or final exam, I will have a review day as well. And I find that this really helps my students out, and they really appreciate it actually. Don't think it's boring. Chances are that most of your students have probably forgotten what you taught them a month ago. I know that sounds bad, but it's just kind of the reality with language learning. So if you just bring that into their memories again, you won't have to reteach it. Usually we'll just take a couple minutes and students will remember what you had taught them. All right, so those are my best tips for teaching conversational English. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell your friends, give it a share, and that would be great. All right, everyone, take care. Until next time. Bye.